Oh, look at. I thought I
Of
had
course,
to
you
put a
said that just as
description
we
in.
went live.
It's Jerrod's fault again. No, no, Jerrod did a good job this time. We're all set up and rolling. You guys have got some shares you want to do before we call it officially live? I can't.
No.
No,
No.
you don't want to share another page to yourselves. Okay. All
We're
right.
just waiting for you to actively stare. That's
Right.
all.
Actively stare.
No singing. That's one rule. So if he ever comes on to our podcast, there's no singing.
I was thinking, what did I miss on theirs?
He's always singing.
I guess
that's what you can call it.
I guess I only actively stare at their podcast too. All right. Good evening, folks. Welcome to Surviving Danger Close. We've been off a couple of weeks here, taking care of some stuff, but we're back up and rolling. So today we want to talk about hobbies. As per usual, we don't have anything, any outline because we're not that professional, but I do have some articles I pulled up. So you guys want to start off anything about hobbies, or I can just start going into some of the articles I pulled up?
Well, I've been dreading this podcast today.
Dreading the
Wow, that's
self-care. Self-care is something that
and yes, finally,
absolutely
Amanda. Finally, we're going.
At.
Well, same.
But I mean, do we want to talk about some of the hobbies that maybe you guys are doing? I mean, this is my hobby. I mean,
actively staring.
Actively staring.
Well, this is our hobby too, and we're not very good at it.
Hey, we have four people in the first 3 minutes, so I think we're doing good. Too bad three of them are us.
Right.
But anyway,
you know,
what do you guys been
Dustin's
doing
a hobby farmer. Oh, I don't. Yeah. I just told you about mine before we started. I don't want to rehash that live.
Yeah, no kidding. Petty. Not Tom either.
Right.
Anybody take vacations? I mean, other than Dustin's like summer-long vacation from his family?
Yeah, that's what we'll call it.
Right. Usually she's listening, so you got to be nice about it.
Right.
No, she's not today, but she probably will later on.
Oh.
And we won't talk about Jerrod's camping trip. And I don't really want to talk about my vacation. All right. That's where we've been the last couple of weeks.
Okay.
In conclusion, we're
doing pretty good. John's cam's on. How are you? I see John. You don't see him?
I see John.
Maybe you
unfortunately,
need
but I see him.
Right. Yeah. I'm sorry. I broke.
Got a glare right here. That may be why you can't see it.
The glare right there. He's attempting a mustache again.
Yes, I am.
Right.
I'll put it back.
I'm not saying it. Not touching that.
It's my hobby. I mess with my facial hair.
That's your hobby. Right.
Anyway.
Well, at least you got hair to mess with.
Well, only on my lip.
That's right.
So, Dusty, you're a hobby farmer.
Yes. Surprisingly, sheep are doing well. I've kept 4 alive. They haven't ticked me off too much yet. For hobbies,
a little easier than goats, then.
Yeah, or at least they are in some aspects, but yeah. For me, I actually got the sheep as part of my self-care routine. I enjoy it. It's something I do enjoy. I never thought I would, and then somebody introduced me to it, and I was like, got thinking about it. I'm like, yeah. Called my wife up and told her, hey, I think I'm going to start raising sheep. And all I heard was, oh boy. And so far it's worked out.
I'm curious how that conversation actually went.
Yeah, I believe it was, oh boy, okay. One of those. Strauss has a story, I bet.
No, he doesn't.
That's right.
And surprisingly, being calm around them is just like with any other animal. I know we've had Hopewell Ranch on here before. We've discussed some of the things with horses. It's the same thing with sheep. If you can stay calm around them, their response to you is actually calm. And it's something that I've figured out kind of accidentally in starting this little hobby farm, I guess you could call it. I can tell when I'm having a bad day, especially when it comes to anxiety and how different those sheep act. And when I'm calm, they're usually much more calmer. So they kind of feed off that energy. And it's just interesting to me. And that's, how I can, it was interesting the first time I realized that, and how I can gauge the, how I'm doing off of how the sheep are reacting to me. Because a lot of times, and any first responder veteran would know this, you don't know you're going through the anxiety, the fight or flight or freeze moments in the moment. Usually somebody's telling you, hey, usually for me, it's my wife. She'll just give me that look, and I'm like, okay, I've got to reassess what's going on. How am I reacting? But the sheep are a pretty good indicator. And so that's been one thing I've been doing for self-care. But for me, self-care and we don't see much of each other. And that's just something that anyone who goes through any type of anxiety will understand, that it is hard. I mean, when I was counseling, I could easily tell somebody, okay, self-care, let's make a list. But when we try to make that list for ourselves, it usually goes to, okay, I need to get this done. I have to get this done. I have to get this done. And that's still not the self-care. And there was some stressful times in the last few months where I did take a moment, grabbed the fishing pole and walked out to the pond and went fishing for 30 minutes. That worked. But usually my mind goes to, okay, I've got to get this certain thing done or project. And that's why for me, self-care is very difficult.
Yeah, I would agree. Hobbies or self-care, we don't put them at the top of our list. We always have something important to do. We always have a project to do. And generally at least I do. I start many projects and I don't complete any of them. And I slowly whittle them away and get
your
to
wife
them.
keeps letting you know, and you're like, I'll get it in 6 months. Don't keep reminding me.
She texted you, didn't she? But yes, my drywall project is half done. But yeah, it's challenging because we don't think to take care of ourselves. There's always something else we'd rather do. And for myself, I normally garden. I brought that up a couple episodes ago, but this year my garden got out of hand, and today I pretty much rototilled half of it because I couldn't deal with it. My anger got the best of me, so I just got on the tractor and ground it in. But
well, when that inkling hits you again, I've got one right out here that you can do next.
What, rototill? I'll be right there.
Yeah. Right. I'm growing grass in my garden.
Yeah. Well, this year I had two. I put the pumpkin patch out in the old garden up near the road there, and quite honestly, I had a blast last year growing pumpkins and having all my friends come over and pick their pumpkins and giving pumpkins away to friends that had kids, and that was a lot of fun. I got them in late this year, so I don't know how well they'll be for Halloween, but everything else is doing well. My deer ate all my Indian corn, if I could still call it my guardian corn.
Their First Nations corn.
Right. Nobody picked up on my Cleveland Indian joke, guardian corn.
Mm-hmm.
Forget you guys.
Yeah.
Never mind. Forget it. It's dead now. And then they ate all my peas right to the roots. So much for the food plot.
So now you can go for one of those crop damage.
Right.
License.
Right. So yeah, what we need is
turn it into
some
the insurance.
Animals to go with my acreage, and you need some crops to go with your animals and acreage, and we'd probably be all right then. But yeah, a few weeks ago, I something I've always wanted to do, always have, and I went ahead and pulled the trigger and bought a boat. And we won't talk about that conversation with the wife. But the kids
Was
enjoy
that a
it.
before conversation or an after conversation?
Yes. I read between the lines, and they were blurred kind of already. So, yeah. But the kids love it, so that's easier.
That helps.
Yeah, you know,
Right.
and they always talk about how much they want to go. In fact, today after church, I had to take Jonathan to driver's training, so we didn't go to church. But that's right, Amanda. My boat is called the Flat Bottom Girl. I did not name it. It was already named that. But yeah, so the little
Is that
boys,
why you drove all the way over there for it? Just for the name,
Shush.
not the boat.
Yeah, right.
Shush. She doesn't know where I drove to get it. So, you know, the little guys told mom that they were going fishing today. So she texted me and she's like, "So what were your plans today?" I'm like, I really didn't have any. She's like, "Oh, well, the boys are telling me that you're taking them fishing." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, they should probably
Now I
ask
have
first."
plans.
Right.
Right.
Now I have plans that the kids made them for me. But you know, it's kind of nice because the boat's big enough for all of us to get out on, and you know, they've just had a blast with it. And you know, if we go out for an hour, I'm fortunate. I live like 5 miles from the bay, and you know, if we go out for 2 or 3 hours, the kids are good with it. I'm good with it, and back home we go. So it's not one of those hobbies that takes up a lot of time, like I don't know, deer hunting or anything else.
Yeah, and it's once you get the boat, I mean that's the biggest expense anyway. It's not too much after that.
Can we quit dwelling on the
Right,
costs
right.
and the distance, please, guys? I shouldn't have brought it up.
What cost?
Thank you. It was a free boat, and it was next
Right.
door.
Right.
Free boat.
Anyway.
Just bought a trailer. Just happened to be.
That's
right.
Anyway,
So, Jerrod, what articles did you find?
So we can talk about the science behind why hobbies can improve our mental health. And I just kind of went through, and it's really a reward system. And so this article says that when we take part in a hobby that we enjoy, our chemical messengers in the brain are released, and it helps us feel the pleasure. That's really just the basic science, but I know that we have a lot of other ways that it makes us feel. But what is a hobby? And I decided to type in what is a hobby, and the very first thing, the suggestion that actually came up on Google was, what is Netflix a hobby? So I don't know who's asking these questions to Google, but it wasn't me. I swear, Netflix is not a hobby.
I beg to differ, man.
So does this article, because the answer was yes, according to this article, but I disagree with it.
I mean,
I'm kind of on the fence on that. I don't know.
Well, you know, the problem with Netflix, okay? They created these Netflix originals, which were amazing, right?
Yeah.
Punisher being one great example, right?
Oh, are you going to go just on their Marvel originals? Because they've got a lot of other originals, but
they do have a lot. That was the first one that came to mind because I really love that show, and then they discontinued it. You know, and it's like,
so this is a bitter comment for him.
It is.
But maybe Disney will pick it back up exactly the same.
I
mean, they own it now.
Stop it. Stop it. Right. But anyway, yeah, you know, it's there are a lot of good movies on Netflix. I'm just now finally tapping into my Amazon Prime videos, and I'm halfway through Tomorrow's War. Amazing movie, by the way. So yeah, interesting theory behind it. But yeah, no, I think movies in general can be a great hobby.
I mean, really, and Amanda said anything can be a hobby with the right attitude. Even with the wrong attitude, if it helps release those serotonin and chemical dopamine levels to balance them out. Because what, you know, today I had to, what did that guy say? Unalive some rabbits before my kids got home. And I had more pets than meat because I'm also doing something with the pelts too. And, you know, some people, that's not a hobby. But for me, it's part of what we do. It's something I'm trying out, and nothing goes to waste, kind of thing. And yeah, for me, that put me in a good frame of mind until my front tire went down and had to have that towed off. But that's a different.
That was perfect. Yeah, that was a perfect way to get out of work tomorrow. I can't believe you waited on that. You disappoint me.
Yeah, I've got a lot going on tomorrow at work.
You could have totally worked from home tomorrow.
Yeah.
It just
if my boss is watching, he said it.
Right. But to talk about, rabbit hunting, if you will, earlier this year, well, I guess last year now, with COVID and everything and me finding my own way and kind of battling some things and getting back into self-care. I don't hunt nearly as much as I used to. All right. Before, like from September to like March, I'd be hunting / fishing, and just in time for the ice to go away, and then you pull out the regular poles and go early perch fishing. But Dustin called me up and said, why don't we go out and chase some rabbits, and I had to like force myself to do this. I've done it in years past. It was a hobby that I used to do, and he took his boy and I brought my boy, and we had a good day, and we got some rabbits.
If I remember correctly, we were chasing rabbits. Somebody else was not.
Well, right. I mean, I'm kind of girthy to be going through some brush, man.
Oh, that's right.
But someone also had the rabbits. So yeah. But it's a good thing to understand that sometimes you need that friend to pull those things, pull it out of you, and we even talked about it when we were walking around the property, and how good it felt to be back into nature and doing the things that we used to enjoy, but now you're doing it with your kids and with friends. So sometimes you just have to open up your mind a little bit to what your hobbies used to be and sometimes what they are now, because they may have changed or may not be the same at all.
Right now, I'm looking back at hobbies that I had as a kid and seeing my kids are at the age where they can just start getting into, like, we can go fishing and I don't have to give them a hookless lure, but they can actually cast out properly. Now there's, everybody has the errant throws, and, I know years ago I would have reacted way different than I do now. Now I just, okay, hey, just pay attention to what you're doing. But now my middle son, he puts the worm on for everybody, except me. I did, hey, why don't you no, Dad, you taught me, you do it better. Yeah. Little punk. But it's neat. It was fun that day, having both of our boys there and just watching them learning something that we enjoy. Sure. Yeah, we also went turkey hunting too, John, with your son.
Oh, that's right.
Except for that one deer I wanted to blast. I did not. Thought about it. We had a blast. We didn't get anything. Had one coming in, but the deer and that turkey didn't get along, so they both went their separate ways away from us.
Yep.
But it was nice to see the excitement on his face, seeing something coming in and seeing that new experience, and kind of, I don't know, can I say the word, living through them?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because this was all new, and for me, it kind of renewed that fun and excitement to take my kids out now, just to watch the eyes go wide, kind of the little bit of the excitement you can see, and but you got to remember, they're also kids.
Sure.
This is a hobby. This is enjoyable for everybody. So if they miss, you know what? They miss. If they shoot something that's smaller than what you would normally go, they're kids. You got to remember that, and don't turn it into something stressful. And a lot of times with PTSD, we all have this plan in our mind of what we want to do, or not just PTSD, but just because of what, if you respond to a call you're planning there that this is what you've got all that planned ahead. For veterans, we have it all planned out. We know what we're going to do. We know what our training is. And we got to remember that our kids are not going to have that forethought and planning like we do. So if they don't act the way we need to, if you start getting upset, because that's one thing that I get upset with, this is how I would have handled it. They should have. No, he's 8 years old. He's not going to.
Sure. And that's a good thought, because for many of us that have PTSD, a lot of times we cause anxiety in our loved ones around us.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we take something that's meant to be fun and we put undue stress on the situation, or have unrealistic expectations or goals for the hunt, or the fishing or whatever
the
it may
garden.
be, right. And that causes even more stress and anxiety for the loved one. So what ends up happening sometimes is the hobby that we picked up again, or thought that we could enjoy as a family, all of a sudden nobody wants to partake in it anymore because of the stress of that.
Mm-hmm.
So what types of things can be done to alleviate that stress? I mean, are we just talking just managing expectations and keeping them realistic? And how do we do that?
Watch how you respond is a big one for me. Sorry, John, I heard you talking after it. Watching how you respond is one for personally that I have to, something happens, I have to back myself up and be like, okay, I'm responding too much. This is only, don't cry over spilt milk kind of thing. Well, don't get mad over it either. Don't get angry over it. Don't yell over it either. And just because you would, as an adult, would not have knocked over that cup, you have the foresight, the experience of making sure the cup is not next to the edge of the table, but your kids don't. And it's almost, like we were saying with the rabbit hunting and the turkey hunting, is living through their eyes, watching their reaction. And a lot of times I remember my kids reacting, like, okay, scared, because they knew this action would have resulted in me getting very upset in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And now, that's not to say I do it all right now, because I don't. Well, this summer's been great. They haven't been here. There's been no angry responses towards my kids at all. Since what day did they leave? I can't remember. But we just have to remember that we have this adult experience and these kids don't. And even our spouses, we have these experiences that have taught us to be hypervigilant, to be aware. And I remember, another personal thing is sitting in a session with my therapist and just saying, I'm tired. I'm physically and mentally exhausted from spending the last decade literally looking in every room that I enter looking for danger. And it gets tiring, it gets exhausting, and it's hard for those adults or kids that have never gone through it to notice that. All they notice is that we walked into a room, something was changed, and we're upset.
Sure. I had something and I forgot it already. You took too long. It's your fault.
It worked out. No. But yeah, it's just you got to see it through the eyes of those that are around you. And like I said, with this self-care, I think Strauss said it earlier that you do, I don't know if you guys can find the chat, but you do whatever
to make everyone else happy and nothing for yourself.
I see what I'm talking about. Name that's better than Mary Openbottom. I got that one.
It's up above that.
I think it's up there.
It's above. Oh, yeah. Yeah. You do whatever to make everyone else happy, and nothing for yourself. Being
because we don't
fit.
want, when you get into that moment, and I text John a couple weeks ago, there was a time, July is always rough for around here. And I text him, I'm like, demons are fighting hard. I mean, they were. And we don't like to shine the light, I know you guys have a light in front of you, and so do I now. But we don't like to shine the light on our own problems. And that's what self-care is all about, is causing us to take that step back and realizing and allowing ourselves to think about it. Because in reality, do we really want to think about what we've been through? No, absolutely not. We wanted to push it aside, ignore and override it, and go on and do something else. And all we're doing is stuffing that bottle until it gets more full, and then finally it's spilling out. And it's when it's spilling out, when we're not taking care of ourselves, that spills out. That's when secondary trauma happens with our family.
Sure. And it's kind of like everything else. It's a day by day, sometimes hour by hour, minute by minute type thing. If I was to tell you, even in the last few weeks, that every time we went fishing, I was absolutely, up and raring and ready to go, no, I'd be lying. There's days I don't, but the kids want to, and you know what? They want to spend time with me. It's worth getting up and going. And as long as I catch the first fish, I'm fine. But I shared a picture on my personal page, my personal best for a bass around here. And that one was kind of fun because my littlest, my younger son there, he's 5. He picked which lure, and I seen the fish. I was trying to spot fish it, and I seen it. My older son seen it, and we were like, man, we got to get that fish, And so my youngest son picked the lure, and sure enough, man, I thought I was hung up on some weeds. And anyway, it was the big bass on there, and pulled it out, and Jonathan had the net, and he scooped it up, and we took our little group photo because we all had a part in it. And the rest of the afternoon, I put my pole down and just watched them. And this is where I know, PTSD has effects on your loved ones, right? I've seen it in different areas, but this in particular, my oldest son, Jonathan, he's not used to that yet. Like, I'm thoroughly involved in the moment. I'm enjoying the moment. And, he's just like, what's wrong? Nothing. Well, you're not doing anything. Yeah, I'm watching you guys. This is Dad's role now. Like I caught a nice fish, and I'm good. I'm done. I don't need to fish anymore. I'm watching you guys. And it bothered him that, I wasn't fishing, but he wasn't, much like when we say we don't, the kids don't understand or have the forethought of milk near the edge of the table. My son doesn't have that forethought yet of appreciating watching his sons grow, or appreciating watching his sons do things. He doesn't appreciate that yet or understand it yet. So, that little anxiety there, it comes in all forms, but it's a minute by minute choice sometimes. Earlier last week, I had messaged Dustin, because I'll call him an acquaintance. All right. I don't have a friend. It's not a friend relationship. It's an acquaintance. It's someone that I had met when I was a corrections officer. And you can imagine how I met him. And he was a great inmate and a great trustee. And then as I came out onto the road, there was an officer involved in a fight with this subject. So my partner and I, hauled ass over there, and we got there. And as soon as he seen me, he stopped fighting the officer, and he was okay with going to jail. He just asked that I do it. And this is a long story. I apologize. But this gentleman, literally the nicest dude. Like, and I told him this. I said, if you would just quit your damn drinking, it's enjoyable to hang out with you. Like, there's times as a corrections officer, you can talk to these guys all night long. I remember when his daughter was born, right? I remember when, his girlfriend had left him and he was wondering about his daughter. He didn't necessarily care about his girlfriend at the time. He wanted his daughter. Those are noble thoughts, and where I'm getting at is clearly this gentleman has a drinking habit, and it has controlled his life to the point it has sent him to prison. And his mom called me and wanted me to come talk to him because he asked for me by name and he wanted to get this under control. So I had to have Dustin's help to find me an inpatient care program that this guy was willing to do. But it's friendships like that are, and hopefully Bill's listening, because that's the power of being an empathetic corrections officer. Right? I can tell you story after story of people that I've met behind bars that changed their lives, good, bad, otherwise. And this guy, I hope he does. I hope he sticks with it. I told him I'd talk to him again tomorrow to find out. But, these are the same things that him and I talked about. It is a sometimes minute by minute, day by day, hour by hour battle. For him, it's alcohol. For me, it's my anger. Same, it's a different enemy, but it's the same war or fight that we have. So, for him, his hobbies are going to have to be different than, say, mine. I may be able to go camping and sit around a bonfire and have a beer. That's probably not his best choice. So, it's important that when you build relationships with folks, you can have those types of talks and can help maybe direct them into hobbies. I don't know where I kind of got off on that story, but it's just important that we keep working at it. Self-care is something that if you don't do it, it's going to show up at the worst time. It really is. Your health is going to fail. Your mental health is going to suffer because of it. Your stress is going to go up. Anxiety is going to go up. All those things can be lowered or reduced with a good, healthy hobby.
Mm-hmm. And you have to know when to do it too. You're going through your story. It reminded me of deer season last year. My daughter had been begging to go, and finally, like, okay, you know what? Got her a tag. So okay, we'll finally go out. Did not want to go out. I didn't. Because she's too short to use the deer blind, the elevated blind that we have. So I knew we were going to have to use the pop-up tent. It's not the best for your back, so I wasn't looking forward to that. And then all of a sudden she shows up with this bucket of toys and books and a stuffed animal. And we're going out with a crossbow. And I'm like, you're not fine. Just let's go. We're going late. We didn't see a deer at all. And by the end of the hunt, she's, not, she's a preteen. God help me. And so she didn't really care. She was spending time with her dad. She brought a stuffed animal out with her. We put the stuffed animal behind the scope and took pictures with it. And I think it was a bear. And we're like, oh, this is the new way that bears are going to go hunting. She made up an entire story on it. I did not care. I mean, there could have been a buck out in front of me and I probably never would have seen it because I was having so much fun just spending time with her.
Sure.
And that's one of those things that we have to realize. I needed that. That's a memory my daughter will have. She still brings it up.
Right.
That's a that's a memory my daughter will have for the rest of her life. And I almost lost out on it because I was not. It was all focused on me, but not the self-care where it should have been focused.
Right. You didn't feel like it.
No.
And I mean, that can kind of go. Your hobbies aren't always exactly as you expect them to be. You expected to go out, sit quietly, wait for a piece of brown fluff to walk across, and then drop it. And
exactly.
You got something completely different. It's like anytime you've watched a Bob Ross video. Just don't worry about the mistake. Just appreciate the mistake, and and turn it into a happy little bird.
Yeah.
Right.
Who is this
and
guy?
that's right. What?
Who are you?
I know I'm not just staring, or because it
He's
feels like
branching
nonsense, but
out.
it actually works.
Right.
But
Bill
no,
and-
and then so
Bill,
I'd
Pat,
like
and
to ask
Brad
about,
aren't going to know what to do with this
Right.
podcast.
That's part of my hope. That is part of my hope. Wait, what's he talking about now? I could always just brought up Sasquatch
Oh, we
for them.
yeah. Well, Tuscola County Advertiser had it on the front page. The Cass River had a Sasquatch, although I do have it under good authority
Right.
that may not have been true. That may
Maybe.
have been
Maybe.
a practical joke that went a little far. But it's the third sighting it since 1970, according to the article.
Jeez.
So are you getting calls? I'm wondering on that.
I know. See, here's another thing.
Right.
So when I went on vacation, I truly unplugged, right? Like I didn't, I think I texted you guys like the one day, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And that was pretty much it. And that was because I freaking needed to, right? Just had to get some crap off my chest.
Mhm.
And really, I've been back, and it's like I totally unplugged. You know, my radio's not on. Yeah, Tom. It was. I was more chunky dunking than skinny dipping. I promise you that. But
The mustache is not that big, Tom.
yeah, right. Not yet. Yeah, I'm working on it. I mean, we got Mike Patricia behind the microphone over there, but it's all right. I've had to unplug it. Right there, you go. I just need you to throw the clipboard.
I don't have one around here.
Right. But yeah, I unplugged. I don't have my radio on anymore. It's done what it's done me well. It's something that I'm trying to do. Everybody's harped at me for a plethora of days or months or years to unplug, and I'm finally trying to do that.
A decade.
Right. Well, I guess I
A
kind
better
of get
part of a decade. Yes.
I mean, doesn't that get into identity a little bit too? So I know we've talked past shows on the identity, when like officers retire and they just realize that that's it. They've been an officer for 20, 25 years, and now what are they? And so, I mean, how can hobbies play into getting into that next step of life, do you guys think?
Sure. So if Bob's listening, I just shared Bob's picture of his bluegill with these two. Bob is an amazing outdoorsman. He's not just a good fisherman and a good hunter. He kind of does it all, right? So his kids, lo and behold, have been trying to get him to do a podcast, right? So I'm like, I know some people that can help you with a podcast, probably, help you set up your camera to do your own little YouTube channel, because he's got some good experiences. Now, he's retired from GM, and he was older when he went into the police academy, but this was something that he wanted to do. So for him, it sounds really messed up, but policing is a hobby for him, right? So because he had his previous identity, but it's not who he is. Policing is not who he is. He still has all these other things, like being an outdoorsman, right? So a few weeks back, before we went on vacation, he took my son and I out to teach us how to trap turtles, right? I don't trap anything, right? Like, luckily our house is new enough. I haven't even started to start trapping mice yet, right?
Right.
So I don't trap muskrats. I don't trap mink. I don't do any of that stuff. Never have. But I've always been intrigued by turtles. So he took my son and I out, and
Because they're slow, isn't it?
no. These turtles were not slow, but we set out 2 traps, and we caught one. And so there's a process that he taught us about purging them so that they are cleaned out and they're good to eat. Blah 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 blah. And so he invited us over and another friend of mine over to show us how to clean and field dress a snapping turtle, right? And so that was unique, and it's something that my son enjoyed. And Bob's a great guy and hooked us up with our own turtle traps for him to start doing it on his own. But, he has knowledge to pass on to others that, maybe it's a hobby you never thought about, right? But one of the coolest things about turtles is, did you know they had back straps?
Mm-hmm.
Of course you did. Never mind. Never mind.
Of course I didn't know.
Well, thank you, Jerrod. Right. Turtles have back straps.
Right.
You've impressed half of us.
Shut up. So those stupid back straps are hidden by ribs that serve no anatomical purpose, right? So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. They're like chicken fingers, right?
Yep.
But anyway, it's important to be open to learn new things, right? So when you're looking to create a new identity, sometimes that might be it. He's also quite the trout fisherman, and he shares that passion with people. All you got to say is, hey, can you teach me how to do it? And part of his excitement is seeing you succeed at it, seeing you try it. And he's really a family man and a good Christian. And so if you bring your kid along, man, he's like to the moon, right? So part of that is learning a new identity and grasping hold of it. And that's something that, you have to look at. Quite honestly, what we do here, this is a new identity for me. This is something that I would hope and dream to continue on. It can be tiring at times, but it is fun. It's outside my box by quite a bit. And you just have to be willing to find out what your passion is. Is it helping people? Is it self-care? And then you kind of go from there.
Yeah, when you're mentioning about it's outside your box, if you're not finding a hobby that works for you in your comfort zone, you may need to go outside your box. You may need to look farther. If you would have said 2 years ago I'd be raising sheep, I would have laughed at you because there would have been no way. And now I am. And
I still laugh at you.
Oh, I still do too. My wife laughs at me all the time when I'm out there. But I never knew that this is something I actually enjoy. So if it's within your comfort zone, that's great. But we have to go outside of our comfort zone sometimes to find that thing, expand our box there a little bit to find that thing that we enjoy. And you never know. You will find something and you might even be good at it.
And some of it is just learning the new hobby. When you're talking about going outside your box, sometimes the learning is the journey, right? My son, so this boat that we bought, not only can we fish from it, but we can duck hunt from it. And I've been duck hunting a couple times, but I'm the type of guy I can't call a duck. I can't do that. That's something I'm going to have to learn. But I enjoy learning. I enjoy reading. I enjoy learning, education. So it's something that, it seems like a big mountain to climb to learn how to do. But if you take a little bit at a time and kind of whittle it down, it's really fun. It's something, again, that my son and I can do. And, same thing with trout fishing or anything else, raising sheep or chickens or pigs or, I think Jules should get an alpaca.
Shush.
I think, I'm pretty sure she should get a nice alpaca or two.
I think they go well with the sheep.
I think they would be amazing sweaters. Now, you can't eat the alpaca, I don't think.
I think John's just looking for a new Christmas gift for me, Dustin. He just wants an alpaca sweater.
Well, he might get the alpaca.
But, I mean, it is fun.
Christmas Eve, it may be ding dong. Watch out, it spits.
That's a llama.
Oh, yeah.
But part of the journey is the education or the learning. I had a friend of mine, he went with us to learn how to cut up the turtle, and he kind of the same thing as you, Dusty. He got some chickens though, because he thought it was something that he would like to do. He wanted his kids to learn how to, raise animals, and they could sell the eggs and they reap a little monetary reward for it. Well, anyway, he turned around enjoying it so much. Now he raises them kind of like, I don't want to say for profit, but he'll raise a couple hundred of them and then sell them. And so I've got chickens, full roasters coming if anybody needs any. But it's a hobby of his because he does it again with his kids. But there's a learning curve there. You got to not be afraid to step out there and learn that stuff.
And you talk about that learning curve, and I know the internet has made that learning curve so much easier to do. My aunt started raising ducks, and she's like, you get the Facebook communities for people who just raise ducks.
Yeah.
Right.
Are just crazy.
There's a sheep
out there.
Facebook page.
I think you have to be more careful when you're searching that one, though.
Yeah. Do you have Velcro
make sure
gloves?
safe search is on.
I think I just got Dusty's new Christmas present, like you said. Oh man.
But I mean, hobbies create that social connection. You've known, you said Bob with the turtles, you've known him for a while, but now you've got a different connection with him.
Sure.
With the trapping turtles, and
it really was cool to learn. And some other classic hobbies are like photography, or even sound production, kind of like what you do. So there's a lot of stuff out there, and like you said, there's just a wealth of information of how to do it, whether it be YouTube channels, Facebook groups, forums. It really is ridiculous, the stuff you can learn online today.
Yeah. And I just learned of a new hobby. I saw this 1/8 replica trains, and these guys are everywhere. Like, you don't even know it. I end up riding on one of them. There's one up in Tuscola County. I've got the guy's phone number. I'm going to talk to him for a different project I've got going.
Really?
But it's real work. They've got tracks all around, and that's one I would have never thought. But 1/8 replica, you can sit right on them and go. And there's different types of engines that people use. They've got different themes how they run it.
I tried that,
I think do that one.
I think I'd put too big of a motor in and just whiplash everybody.
Just start flying around.
Yeah.
Well, no, nobody.
Amanda might be getting calls of complaints.
Right. Out of the handful of guys around there, nobody was really moving that quickly either.
Well, that's a perfect one for John. Doesn't go very fast.
Right. Just kind of stroll along. I got the guy's number.
Like
we'll go visit him together, John.
I'm good.
Is there?
I'm good. Yeah.
But I did search up stuff veterans hobbies. So fishing. So I guess that you definitely check that box. Yeah. Gardening, you sort of check that box.
Oh, we can.
Running, you don't check that box at all.
Not anymore.
That's it, right? No more weeds in there. Or no more running. See,
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting. You've spent how much time running, and they're like, take up running as a hobby.
I
thought running was
did that for a while.
For a bit.
I did that I say that as like my marathon medals, right? I can see it. My marathon medal, it's right there, over there on the floor.
It's on the other side of the camera. You can't see it. It lives in Canada.
All right.
We'll get it now. So for the audio portion, he's taken off his headphones, and I don't know if he's left us or if he's going to get the medal.
Oh, he's back
to prove. Oh, he got the medal to prove it.
Yep.
All right. No, stick it in your teeth, and I want to make sure it's not like tinfoil chocolate.
Right.
No, I did do the racing thing for quite some time, and my body's paying for it.
Yep.
And it's really amazing how much money you're willing to spend to go put yourself through torture.
Yeah.
To run far enough and long enough and train hard enough that you lose your toenails, and you're still going to spend over $100 to do that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, we had a sergeant first class that I was under, and that dude could run and never ever stop. And we did a perimeter run when I was in Hawaii, and that's like 15 miles. And he would do a release run, meaning as soon as we get to a certain point, he'd say, you can run back to, where we started, and you're released for, for the morning. And he would, I'm going to go another 5 miles. I'm like, we've already done like 12 to 13. Yeah.
Right.
But
I got to
did
shower.
do the Aloha run. So I don't have a medal or anything from it, but the Aloha run was fun right on the beach. So, we've got that going for us.
Right. I'd rather not run on the beach, but thanks. But
Yeah.
what else is on your list?
So I'm going through. Somebody put pole dancing. You can, as a veteran, you can always pole dance. I guess that's good. I don't know how that works out for you.
What's next?
It'll keep you fit a little bit.
Yes, right? Leave that one alone.
Right. So I'm just trying to find the weird ones now. So beer making. I mean, what do we feel about beer making for veterans as a hobby?
Dude,
I guess it depends because of potential for abuse.
Beer guy, so it's not like
it's a hobby that some would do great at, and others that's not for them. But if it's for you and you've got the right attitude about it and it's something you enjoy,
I think I'd rather be like Nick and go roast coffee, because at least that smells amazing.
Right, that's true. Yeah, beer only
tastes good
amazing.
and it smells amazing.
Right. So somebody put quad racing in this forum.
Ooh, see, now you're going into the adrenaline a little bit too. So sometimes you have to be careful, especially for first responders and veterans, that we're not chasing that adrenaline rush. And that could be great, but then it would get boring for you and you want to try that next rush. So that's one to be careful with. Just like, I would put it right there to the beer making too. The military is known for a lot of alcohol consumption. That you got to be careful with that and make sure that you're doing it for the right reasons. That is truly a hobby for you and not just a cheaper way to fuel your addiction.
I don't think it's a cheaper way to fuel an addiction.
Depends on the quantity.
Who I've seen make beer, right?
Yeah, I don't know anything about it.
So here's something that, just like the trains, that I didn't realize how big there was of a community. RC racing.
Oh, that's huge.
Really?
Yeah, that's a huge community. You can go to, I don't want to say a local high school, and they have it once a month. If we're trying not to drop too many names, but you can go there once a month, and they have a whole circuit that they run. You can, we rented out for a friend's kid's birthday party. So everybody got to race the track with some rented RCs, and then people bring their own. They've got tables set up. Looks almost like a NASCAR pit. They've got extra tires sitting there, zipping them on, and they all bring in their tackle boxes.
And some of these hobbies kind of like come and go, and I kind of thought RC kind of went away, but maybe not. But
no,
like airsoft or paintball, that one's kind of gone now, right? I mean, it was
low. I think it's low for a bit, but
airsoft is still going, especially out in the UK. I know that, but airsoft, they still got not any in our area that I know of anymore. But like the RC
battlefields that we would go and play at.
Yeah, there's a couple here in our area that for paintball, but I don't know of any airsoft anymore in our area. But it's still, I've seen some of the sniper rifles that they've got for that, and you know when you've been hit by some of them.
Right.
So
I mean, there's lots of opportunities out there.
Yeah, airsoft, it's not exactly soft, but and like you said, some of these do come and go. Find what works for you. Not everybody has the opportunity or the willingness to raise farm animals or even go fishing. Not everybody likes that. So you got to find what works for you. and make sure you're safe with it. Because like I said earlier, sometimes as first responders and veterans, we like the adrenaline rush. We're always searching for that next adrenaline rush. And, so you got to be careful with what you choose.
Mm-hmm. So speaking of being careful, here's my favorite one. Barbecuing was on the list. I would definitely call that one a good hobby. If there's anybody out there who has taken this up as a hobby, let me know. I will come over to your place and help you out with that hobby. Not help you cook it just on the back end. We don't want to.
Yeah,
you just don't want to waste any.
Allow them to be in their bliss of the hobby, and you will definitely support them.
I would feel terrible if they ingested all the carcinogens themselves.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, guys, that was a great show.
That's about it.
It was fun.
Yeah.
It wasn't as heavy as it has been lately.
No, that's why that's kind of what I wanted to do this one, and lighten it up, have a little bit of fun with it. If anybody out there, if you want to drop your hobbies in the comments, that'd be awesome, so we can see what else you're doing. I'm sure that there are thousands of different hobbies out there.
Oh,
and it's nice to see what everybody's doing, and who knows, maybe you'll end up getting some converts to your hobby, build that community a little bit more.
Sure.
Because it gives you a nice, it's a good sense of community with those social connections. And as humans, whether we are introvert or extrovert, social connections is still what drives us. It's being social. And introverts actually really latch onto their hobbies. And if you want to get an introvert out of their shell, find out what their hobby is.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yep.
But, I'd be curious, not only dropping, for our listeners, dropping their hobbies in the comments, but if they also have any ideas for shows, shoot us a message on those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wish we see how well researched we are.
Yeah. The only reason he researched that is because my truck was getting towed and we had to start later.
I wasn't going to bring it up.
Right.
I almost wish that there was, a listener out there that's retired and would like to talk to us about how retirement's going. But
that would be good.
Well, we won't add any names, Paul. But we'll see. So
I don't know if he's still listening or not. I know Amanda still is.
Woodworking, karaoke, and traveling.
Yep.
I've only karaoke'd once in my life, and it was in Okinawa. I'm trying to remember the name of it was a government a US DoD camp or campground, and I can't remember. Oh, Camp Akuma on the end of Okinawa, and I don't remember much beyond that. I just remember karaoke.
Right. And at the time, and your depending on your BAH level, you sounded great.
I was. Yes, I was. Yes. I think I still have a scar to prove it. My son calls them beach bites. So, yes, because the sand in South Carolina and Georgia was like all seashells, not much sand. So when you're in the big waves and it rolls you down the beach, you get all tore up. So he called them beach bites.
He may have something going there. I like that.
Right. Oh, anyway.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening, everyone. And I think it was a good show today.